back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. So we're on episode 8 this week. Myself and Shane back again. What's the crack, Shane?
Not a whole lot yourself. Just I can't believe it's 8 episodes already.
I don't
It's
know.
just when you said it there, it's like, geez, it feels like I don't know if it feels like it's been more or less, but it does feel it's just been really good start to finish so far anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to actually put a number on it. Like 8 doesn't seem like the right number.
Yeah,
Like you said, it seems like it's been more, but also less. But yeah, it's probably we've been enjoying it a lot. So appreciate everybody who's been listening. And if you are listening along, just urge you to subscribe on YouTube if you can, or follow it on whatever podcast app. And if you have the time to share it around, or if you're enjoying it, let us know. We'd really be delighted. So I just said we'd say that at the top of the show.
yeah, we
But
really appreciate all the kind of the views on our little clips on TikTok and stuff as well. Like they
mm,
seem to have gone down a treat as well, which has been great. But again, if you'd give it a follow on the TikTok or on the Instagram page, whatever you can do will go a long way to helping us as well.
yeah, exactly. Only just a couple of clicks means a lot to us.
Mm.
So anything you can do is greatly appreciated. But we hope you're enjoying it. That's the main thing. But yeah, weekend. We were last Friday. We're back at the Treaty game again. So
Yeah,
got to win this time.
and away to Dundalk this Friday now in a top the table battle.
Oh yeah,
It
big
just
clash.
if only they hadn't done what they did against Cove now, they'd be
Mm,
flying high. But you know what? It's a great start to season. The back-to-back wins, the highest scoring team in the country.
yeah,
Can't really complain at the moment too much
yeah.
anyway.
To be honest, they were better in the Cove game than they were at the
Yeah,
weekend. Like, but just didn't get the results. So I suppose you take some and
exactly.
you
Yeah,
lose some.
the lads were saying after they won 5-0 in that loan last week that someone told them it was a smash and grab. But the Finn Harps game there on Friday was definitely more of a smash and grab than anything
Oh,
I've seen in
definitely.
quite a while.
Yeah, they weren't the better team until maybe the last 20 minutes, and then turned it on a little bit
Yeah,
after that penalty. But the 3 points is all that matters,
exactly.
and you don't want to be losing games against the likes of Finn Harps at the moment. They're going to be
No,
in the bottom third. But
hopefully.
yeah, another shout for me was at the Carlow game on the weekend. So unfortunately conceded a goal
Yeah,
in like the 74th minute to draw the game. One we probably needed to win to give a proper chance to get into Division 1A next season, but still thereabouts, playing Dublin this weekend. Haven't lost yet, and we're the only team to take any points off Offaly so far. So look, doing really well, and I just wish that RT or TG Carr would show us a bit of respect and show one of our games live, because honest, it's serious, man. Like these games they're showing every week, and some of the football games they're showing. And Carlow play good hurling, and they have been for a while, so they deserve a shout, as do other counties like Offaly as well. But look, that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
yeah. They picked their six favorite counties and they're kind of just they're almost showing them on a loop. And
yeah,
most of them are from Munster as well. So you're probably right. You probably do need to maybe branch out the coverage a bit to the back ends of Leinster, sorry, not Leicester, the back ends of Leinster kind counties that do need to be shown a bit more and get a bit of appreciation as well. So I do agree with your
yeah.
boss. It just sounds bad when you're like Carlo hurling needs to be put on television. Just kind of, it's not a sentence I thought I'd be hearing any time soon.
Yeah,
To be perfectly honest with you,
but that's the thing, is like, since it's not mainstream, it's like they're not showing it enough, and they're not advertising it enough, so then people really don't know the extent of how well they're playing. Like
yeah,
they beat Waterford this year, last year drew with Kilkenny, drew with Offaly this year, who've been excellent as well. Like it is a shame that they haven't showed it more, because like especially this time of year around league season, it's, in my opinion, that's the best time to show off some of the teams that don't get as much of a shout. Like I'm not out
yeah,
here trying to say show us like the lowest division on RT or TG Car live. Like this is Division 1B. Like this is the second
second
best
division.
division in the
Yeah,
country. Like so, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Far from the NBA, so we'll move on to that.
yeah,
So the first thing we're going to go with is our player in the NBA. So this week I had the player to chat about. So I've gone with Donovan Mitchell, Spider Mitchell. So leader of this Cavs team, who are at this point probably the best team in the league in the regular season. You've been saying it for about a month now, and yeah, definitely over the last 10 games, what are they, 10-0? So
yeah. They've won. They're 11 wins in a row,
like this,
so
yeah,
they're just
that's just
flying. Like it's
outrageous. Like, and
ridiculous.
They're up to 50 wins, and he has been very, very good for them. And the thing is, I think they've managed him very well this season
Mm,
because he's only played like 31 minutes per game. It's the
yeah.
lowest he's ever played. But they don't need him to play a lot of minutes because they have a very deep team. And one thing I've mentioned before is that I liked continuity in teams, and the Cavs had that. They continued with that same roster, and they made a nice move in adding DeAndre Hunter before the trade deadline, and that was nice as well. So apart from that, they didn't really break anything up from the team, and that was only a bit of extra scoring off the bench. I think he's really benefiting from the fact that Garland and Mobley are offering about 40 points per game between the two of them this season. So I think that definitely eases the burden on him. What do you think?
I think so. When I was looking at it, like doing up the kind of bits and pieces of this, I kind of noticed there's something that stood out to me for the Cavs was that they have no kind of, they've no superstar, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't want to put anyone down or disparage anyone, but like, they don't have a Luka, they don't have a LeBron, they don't have someone that kind of makes headlines every single week for doing something different. They have a
Yeah,
team of players who are they all benefit each other, they all suit each other, they're all perfect the way they play together. And I think that has shown over the course of the season it has been a massive advantage from it, the way things are going. Donovan Mitchell is probably the superstar of the team, for want of a better
mm,
way of putting it. But like he wouldn't really be a household name. I know he's a six-time NBA All-Star now, but like he would never have been if people were naming out their top 10 players in the league last season, he probably wouldn't have made many of them. Like, so it's kind
yeah,
of the way he's gone, as you were saying, like he is on his lowest minutes per game and it's helped, but he's still averaging 24, 4 rebounds and 5 assists and
hmm
46% shooting.
yeah. The
So he's
shooting is
like,
the main thing there.
yeah.
It's very
So,
very efficient.
yeah, so like when he's on the court, he's doing damage, and the points they're putting up, the defense they're showing, they don't need to kind of overuse him. And as you said, like the continuity, the way they've managed the roster all season has clearly worked because they're 51-10 and
Yeah,
11 wins in a row again. And they keep going on these mad winning runs. Like
yeah,
they'll lose one and then they'll go and win 10, then they'll lose one, they'll go and win 15. It's their season has just been come out of nowhere for me, to be honest.
yeah. It was unexpected, especially with how last season ended and people were calling for things to be blown up and for Garland to be traded
Mm,
away. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. And um, I think some of the things about how efficient Mitchell's game is kind of what has stood out to me this season. Like he's had his best 3 point percentage of his career,
yeah,
nearly 40% there, and that's on over 9 attempts per game. That's a direct combat of what the Cavs do well by take or the Celtics do well, sorry, by taking a lot of threes, being a volume 3 point shooting team, and that's something the Cavs have added into their game this season, which is important. If you want to compete, you have to do your own thing, but also do well what other teams do. You can't be just shut out of these games, and they certainly won't be.
yeah,
He's also had the least turnovers per game of his career with only two per game. And so I think that's been really important because his previous lowest was 2.6 per game. So it is a good decrease. You're taking off one turnover every couple of games there.
yeah,
And that number was low already to begin with, but it's even lower now. And he's just being very careful with the ball, selecting what he's doing. And I think the fact he's played less minutes will be very beneficial in the playoffs. We've seen him before in the playoffs, like that year of the bubble when they had that crazy series. And he was just going off against, I think it was
mm,
the Nuggets, and we had, I think it was Murray on the other side. Just like that year, I think he had an average of 32 points per game in the playoffs over 10 games, and the year before that, he had 36 points per game over 7 games. I'm not sure they could be flipped, but like to average 36 points per game and 32 points per game in the playoffs, he is a playoff performer. So
yeah.
there's no need to fear that he can't step up on that level, especially with less minutes under his belt throughout the season.
Exactly. And like if they brought him up to 37, 38 minutes per game when they get to the playoffs,
Yeah,
like
which they will.
he clearly he'll have the gas in the tank from what they've saved him over the course of the season. Like to get to 51-10, I know I think this needs to be mentioned over and over again, the factor 51-10, but to have that record and him playing so little minutes,
Yeah,
it's just the way they've managed the whole season has been a credit to everyone in the organization. And as you were saying, people calling for it to be blown up and start again in the summer, and they've backed their men, and
Yeah,
it's worked 100% in their favor, and they've just been incredible all season.
yeah,
Absolutely
and
incredible.
we'll definitely get more into them as an entire team once playoff season rolls around because
Mm,
there'll be an interesting topic. But like, it's also a thing that he's been consistently just outside the cusp of that like top 10, as you mentioned. He's been a six-time All-Star now, and that's 6 years in a row.
yeah,
So he's right about breaking in there. He was once in the All NBA teams. So that was in his first season with the Cavs. He made the
yeah,
second All NBA team. We may well see him get his first All NBA team. Now, personally, I think he's probably second All NBA team level, but the fact that the Cavs are 51-10 and they're only going to be rising will add to his stock because I think the first four positions there between Giannis, Jokic, SGA, and Tatum are probably taken, and it's going to be between him and Ant. And I think Ant is having a better season, but the record that Mitchell's team has might be something that plays into it. So, yeah, we might see that for him. And look, we definitely can't say he doesn't deserve it
no,
because he's been a leader of the best team in the league this year. So, yeah, props to him. And I think he's only going to improve, I think, in this leadership role as he gets more minutes in the playoffs. And as we mentioned, he can take games over. And in the playoffs, he can take games over too. So, be interesting to see if they do need to rely on him a little bit more come playoff season.
yeah. Like I can't see how they don't kind of use him more when it comes to playoffs. Like if they don't put his numbers up to 36, 37 minutes, then I feel like they'll have missed a trick. And if they get knocked out, it's all anyone will talk about for the whole summer. Will be like, oh, why didn't they use him more? They saved him in the post in the regular season for what? Like so,
Yeah,
surely they bring him up to close to 40 minutes come playoff time, and they'll surely I can see him definitely reaping the benefits of it then as well.
yeah, no, I think he'll definitely be on a 40 minutes per game minimum
Yeah.
once we get deep into the playoffs. That's all I have on Mitchell. If you have anything else, or you want to move on to your team,
No, we'll move on to the Lakers,
nice.
and we picked a good time to bring him on because they
Yeah,
after last night when LeBron broke 50,000 points, and Luka decided to show up and drop 30 as well. So I think it's a good time to
hmm
start talking about him. I could kind of want to talk about him for a while, especially with the Luka trade and the fact that they robbed the Mavericks basically. At first rounder, Anthony Davis and Max Christie, and got Luka in, who was it took him a while to get going, but now he is really, really kind of stepping up. Himself and LeBron seem to have a good understanding. Like
yeah,
we were saying well, you were saying on the podcast you did with the two lads that you were worried
hmm
about the defensive side of things. And in the
hmm
last 5 games, they've only averaged 104 points against.
hmm
And when you have Luke and LeBron going off and you have the tools around them, Austin Reeves, like they are always going to outscore 104 points. If they
yeah,
can keep their defense to the level they're at now, they could go on a very, very serious run between now and the end of the season. They've
yeah,
7 wins in a row now, which is second to only the Cavs, who are, as we were just saying, are a joke. Their home record is unreal as well. They've only dropped 7 games at home, so clearly playing at home is really, really an advantage for them. And if they could get a home first round in the playoffs, then it's hard to see them not getting through in that. Like, I don't even know where to talk about him. Honestly, I think Luca has been was averaging 28 points and 8 assists before they've signed him, and he's now just he's dropping bombs for them now as well. He was 30, 15, and 8 last night.
yeah,
The defense, as I just said, is getting better as the weeks go on as well. They've been better than I expected with the two boys.
yeah.
What do you think yourself, if you went in?
I think with Luca, when I was looking at some of the notes I made, kind of overlap with what you said. I put here like that was. It's funny that they're one of the top 10 defenses in the NBA this season,
Yeah,
and they've looked fine without AD. They're eighth in points per game allowed across the whole season. Now, a good portion of that was with him in the team, but they've looked fine without him, as you've
yeah,
mentioned. Now, whether that translates into the playoffs is a whole different story when things get more physical. But I think it seems like they've got good tactics in terms of how to play without probably a big name center. Like how when they played against the Nuggets recently, they were kind of just like crowding Jokic, putting two men on him, getting a lot of hands, and just wearing him out. That could be something that works. We'd have to see that in the playoffs to see how feasible it is. But yeah, I agree. They've been very impressive in defense, and they've surprised me. And I think looking at their recent run, like they're on a 16-3 run, and the only teams they lost to are Philly, Utah, and the Hornets. Like
Yeah,
three
it's
of the
shocking.
worst teams in the league.
Mm,
And I don't know, those are just mental lapses, I think, more than anything. But in general, they've been excellent. They're a very efficient team. They don't put up a whole lot of points compared to the league average.
yeah,
I think they're below the league average, but they do shoot 48% from the field, which is incredibly efficient, and LeBron adds to that. He's obviously slowing down because he is 40 years of age, but he's slowing down at such a low rate for somebody of his age. Like I can't believe what he's doing. He's got the fourth highest assist per game of his career. That's only going to go up with Luka, and he's the third highest 3 point percentage of his career with nearly 40%. So this guy has played like over 20 years. So this isn't a short career we're comparing. This is
it's
like top of the top.
it's ridiculous. Though. Like I think when I was looking, I think he played 38 minutes last night. At 40 years old, he's still gone out there, he's still
That's the
putting
thing, when
out
they need him to do
nearly
the
full
extra minutes, he
games.
does it
Yeah.
like.
And I know he's not doing it every week, but even like for someone who's 40, I know 40 is not old, but it is in like 22 years in the league. And with the amount
Yeah,
of minutes he's put down, for him still to be able to go out and put up the club open or nearly 40 minutes in a game is just,
yeah.
I think he needs to be studied in a lab because it's outrageous what he's doing. And he seems to have a new lease of life since Luka has come in as well. Himself and Luka seem to get
Oh
on
yeah.
really, really well. So, I don't know. I think, as you mentioned there, like one of my notes here is that Jackson Hayes as their center is
Hmm.
a problem I see
That's the
going to
biggest
catch up
issue.
with him. Yeah, I think it's going to catch up with him come the playoffs. I really like your man Hakimura. I think he is. I
Hachimura,
really,
yeah.
yeah, I Hachimura. Sorry, I really like him. Don't even know why I like him, but I think he's a good fit there as well. But I think
Hmm.
Jackson Hayes is where the problems could be come playoff time.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I could see them maybe doing something a bit funny with their lineup come playoff time where they do go small and LeBron almost plays as like a center. Not really in terms of the defensive stuff, but as that might be his position where he starts. Because, you know, they'll probably have to go with Hachimura and Dorian Finney-Smith, who's only started 8 games since he moved, but I think he'll be important in the playoffs. And I think he's a similar player to Hachimura because they can shoot threes when they get into a rhythm, and they're strong, big wings. Like that adds an element when you're maybe missing a center. So I think those kind of guys are important. And I know you mentioned Reeves. I think he's the X factor in terms of how far this team can go.
Yeah,
He's on 19 points per game this season, and he's averaging 7 3 points attempted per game. I think he just needs to improve on the efficiency of that. But I think he'll get more open looks with Luka as the season
yeah,
goes on. And Dalton Connect is another guy who might knock down some threes in a couple of games in the playoffs. They need guys like this. It's funny because I noted I made my notes before the game last night, and I noted that Luka's like ramping up nicely, and he's had a couple of 30 point games for them. He added another last night, and
yeah,
the only caveat I had with him was that the assists will come when he gets used to playing in the team and
yeah.
gets used to his teammates. And then last night he just dished out 15
Yeah.
assists, so didn't take very long.
And the thing with Austin Reeves, what you're saying about Luca there as well, is that like if Luca keeps doing, if Luca keeps kind of going the way he's going now and he's dropping 30 and 15, teams are going to have to double up on him. And
Yeah,
that will give Austin Reeves the extra space then to get,
that'll give LeBron extra space.
yeah, there's
That's the
that as
main
well.
issue there.
It will give Austin Reeves a chance then to kind of bring up his efficiency. If he has more open
Yeah.
looks, he's not going to miss as many if there's no one in his face. Like so, and you
Hmm.
said I think those three, I think Reeves, LeBron, and Luca could bring this team a long way. But I
Hmm.
think if they stick with Jackson Hayes, then they will end up having a problem in the playoffs because he's not a center you can win something with. I don't think anyway.
No, I don't think so. But I think just imagining that in the playoffs, when if LeBron and Luka are running pick and rolls and you're dragging three defenders into that, or you have a double team then on LeBron off that, and he just can dish it out to a wide open Reeves or Connect to knock down a shot.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely the recipe for success. So let's see how far they can go with it. But if you've nothing else on Lakers, we'll move on to the football.
No, I think if anyone is kind of looking for something to watch in the NBA, I think the Lakers are a really good team to watch at the moment with LeBron, with Luka, with Austin Reeves. So if you are looking for someone to kind of keep an eye on, obviously the
Hmm.
Cavs and the Thunder are miles out in front. But if you want kind of closer games and an enjoyable watch, the Lakers are definitely fun to watch at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And Michael that I had on that week. You weren't around. He's loving watching the Lakers at the moment. So shout out to him. So where do you want to go here? Are we going with a team or a player first for the
We
football?
go with the team first because we're kind of branching out a bit here.
Let's go. So I've got a special one this week, something a little bit different. So I thought, Champions League week, big game last night. So we're recording this on Wednesday. Last night, Real and Atleti were playing. So I said, let's go with Atleti for this week for the season that they're having, because I love the way I love what they do in general, but what they've done this past season has just worked perfectly. So over the last couple of seasons, they sold Joe Felix, Morata, Renan Lodi, Cunha, Carrasco, a whole bunch of other guys for about 200 million. And they kind of stockpiled that money over the last couple of seasons. And then in the summer, they brought in Julian Alvarez, Conor Gallagher, Robin Lenormand, and Sorloth, Alexander Sorloth. So that was about 200 million then. They basically traded some of the guys that were surplus or aging or moving on for some really top talent, especially in Alvarez. And I just really like the way they built that team and how quickly it's bedded into what they already had there. And you can see even these guys, they're coming off the bench last night. Like the only one of those that started was Alvarez
Hmm.
in probably their biggest game of the season so far. I thought they were the better team against Real Madrid, and they didn't come out on top. I thought the first 15 minutes Real dominated, but then Atleti really settled in after that cracker of a goal by
Hmm.
Alvarez. And after that, they really took control, and they were kind of hit sucker punched really by that Brahim Diaz goal. And then they kind of seemed a bit shocked from that. But I think heading back to home tie, only 2-1 down in the Champions League, they'll be very confident that they can get something from it. But what stood out to you from them this season?
I think the main thing is like they're probably the only team that I can think of in Europe's top five leagues that are still playing a flat 4-4-2.
Yeah, it's great.
And it works so well. Like the Conor Gallagher was playing left midfield at the weekend, not the Madrid game, obviously, at the weekend, and
Hmm.
he was absolutely unreal out there. And he's a workhorse. Julian Alvarez, workhorse. Robin Lenormand, he's a no nonsense centre half. Like he's brought in players for basically a Italia 90,
Hmm.
4-4-2, and it's just working so well. I kind of agree with you to a point. I do think there was large stages last night where they were the better team. And I think after 10 minutes, they'd have been, if you had offered to me only a 2-1 deficit after 10 minutes last night,
Yeah,
you'd have bitten your hand off for it. Now, when they got to 1-1 and they were the better team, I think you'll be disappointed. But bringing them back to the Metropolitana, I think, like, I'd almost make them slight favourites to
yeah,
nick
me
that one
too.
nil and bring it extra time at least, and maybe even nick a 2-0 because. I don't know that Madrid team. There was something funny about them last night. They're the devil's club. It's like they have some kind of hold on this European Cup. But I
Mm,
think if anyone is going to knock them out, I can see it being this Atletico Madrid team.
yeah,
Um, like I was looking and they've only conceded 16 goals in the league all season
yeah,
in what is it 26 games. Like it's
yeah.
the
The
best
best in the
record
league.
in yeah best it's the best record in all of Europe's top five leagues.
It's crazy.
Which it's mad how little they concede. Bar the 4-4 draw they had with Barcelona in the first leg of the Copa del Rey, which
Yeah,
made absolutely no sense. But like you wanted to bring them up because they're still on for a treble.
yeah.
And
That's the main reason.
yeah, how many can you see them actually winning of the three?
I think they'll get one at least.
Mm.
I think they're a good league team. Like when on one-off occasions, I think they could get sucker punched by somebody. Like I know that was 4-4 against Barca, but on another night, Barca could have won that 4-1.
Yeah.
And because Atletico don't score that many goals, so I think something like that could happen to them in a cup. That that could be the end of you. Then that's it. But in the league, it's a different story, and I could honestly see them winning the league. They're only a point behind, and they don't concede many goals.
Yeah.
They've but they've scored 43 goals in the league, but they have the third best goal difference because of how good
Lack of
their
goals they
defense has
concede.
been. And but the thing is, they're very fast with how they play and how they transition. Like they only have around 51% possession on average in the league, but they've created 60 big chances, and they have the third most final third passes in the league with over 3,500. So they move the ball very quickly into the final third, and when they're in there, they move it quickly as well. And I think that's important for when you're soaking up pressure. They're basically what like a Nottingham Forest would be if they spent 30 years building their team in the way that
Yeah,
they're playing now. So, it's they're really, really such a good team to watch. They've only lost five times all season, and twice in the league, once last night, and then twice in the Champions League. And one example of them basically getting sucker punched is losing 4-0 to Benfica, who I think have been very good this year. I'm interested to see what they'll do against Barcelona because I think that's a
mm,
dangerous tie. But I think that kind of a game is something that I'm a little bit wary about with them. One player that I already noted is Alvarez, but he's got 10 goals in 20 games in the league on 8 XG. In the Champions League, he's got 7 goals in 9 games, and his XG has been 2.2.
wow.
7 goals off 2.2 XG. So
Well, that
this
one
guy
last
just,
night was
yeah,
probably 0.1, the one he scored last night,
he
because
just
it's
scores
just
screamers.
outrageous.
Like,
Yeah.
and he's such a good free kick taker, which we saw in the World
Mm,
Cup as well. So I think that was an excellent signing. But the main guy in my eyes is Griezmann. Oh my God, I could watch him play all night, like every single day. If he was on, I'd just watch him. Any game he's in, I'd watch it because
yeah.
the way he plays, the way he moves around the pitch, and he's not a young fella, and he's just moving like he's aging like fine wine. Those little 1-2s he makes runs confusing literally everybody.
There was
Such a
one
good player.
last night where he was playing deeper than any of the midfielders, and then he was the first one making the pass into the final third of it. So he won it back off Finney Jr. in front
Yeah.
of his centre halves, played it off, and he was the first one making the run to get him behind then as well. I agree with you. He's had a great career. He's been a magician, in fairness to him. He's absolutely class. But I just want to go back to something you mentioned a few minutes ago. Just go back to the way they transition from defense to attack. Like
Yeah.
when there's such a flat 4-4-2, the fact that they can transition so quickly, and I just think it's only a Simeone team will be able to do it, because they move the ball so fast when they win it back, and when they don't have it, everyone digs in. There's no Mbappe character. There's no one
Yeah.
standing around. Everyone is back. Everyone is helping out, and that's why the sign of Alvarez, he loves running. He showed that at
Mm-hmm.
City he loves running. Conor Gallagher loves running. Like everyone they've brought in the last 18 months, maybe
They've
Sorloth
all
doesn't love running
nailed
so
his
much, but
game
he
as
still
running.
does it. Yeah, exactly. They love the defense. They all love the defensive side of the game as well, even the strikers. And
Yeah.
I would love to see him win the league, because I'm sick of seeing the other two kind of pass it over and back between them. Especially, I'm sick of Real Madrid winning everything. Like I'd love for Atletico to get something over them. I really would. And I think they're a really good team to watch, as you said numerous times already. And I think they're one that I'd definitely keeping a closer eye on between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And if they get through against Real Madrid, they'll be well deserving of it because
Mm,
I feel like they've come very close a number of times against Real through the years and just never quite made it. But I think hopefully this time we'll see something different. But as you said, Real just have that dark magic in the Champions League. It's very hard to get past them. But yeah, one to watch and kind of I think nice to branch outside of the Premier League in depth.
yeah.
So, but we're going to jump back into the Prem now with your player. So, who have you got first this week?
I want to talk about Dean Huijsen. So a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned him when we were talking. I think we were talking about Bournemouth, but I just want
Yeah.
to go more in depth in him, because I think he is a quality talent. He's 6'5". He's 19 years old. He doesn't win as many headers as I'd like him to win, but he is still only a child. Like, for a 6'5", he should be winning 100% of his headers. But I just find it, the more I watch him, the harder I find it to believe that Juventus watched him at
No,
Roma
no.
last year and said, "Nah, let's get rid of him."
What
And
are they playing at?
How Bournemouth were the place he ended up as well also baffles me. But like, he's had 16 starts in the league this year. He's played over 1,500 minutes. He's 2 goals, 5 yellow cards. Like, he's only 19. Centre backs don't come into their prime until they're 24, 25, 26. And the
Hmm.
minutes he's getting under his belt, he's going to be absolutely incredible, I think. He's
Yeah.
won 67% of his aerial duels in the league, 75% of his ground duels. Like he is flying. And once he
Hmm.
fills out and gets stronger, gets more confident, those numbers are obviously only going to go up. He'll be up. I think he's the next coming of Van Dijk, to be perfectly honest with you. I really do rate him that highly. I think he's unbelievable. The way he kind of breaks out as well from with he's good at running the ball. He can pass it forwards. He has it all in his locker. He just needs to, like, he's only going to get better with age. And I just wanted to give him a bit of praise.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's 19 is the most shocking part of all of this because, as you said, centre backs often take a lot longer to develop than other players, and it's easy to spring onto the scene as a not easy, but easier as a 20-year-old winger, and you're get a bit of flair about you and a couple of goals, but people hardly notice when a young centre back is doing well, and that's how good he's been that everybody noticed, and like he's the 10th most interceptions in the league with 35, but he's played way less than the others in the top 10. He's got 115 clearances, so that's the 16th most in the league, and Zabarni has 149. So between the two of them back there, it's just an absolute
Outrageous.
brick wall.
Mm.
And Zabarni has played 700 minutes more than him. So again, like Huijsen and himself will have similar numbers in terms of defensive output. If you look at a per minute basis, his passing is something that you mentioned. I think his long passing is very, very important to the team. How quickly they need to transition. That's what they like to do. And they do play speculative passes into space at times, but he's the right man to do it because he is very good at spraying those long passes and he's quite accurate with them as well, which is a bit of a testament to him as well, considering how often he has to do it. I think he has like about 50% accuracy on those long
Yeah.
passes. So
He's 84% accuracy on all his passes across the season. And with the amount of long balls he plays, as you're
yeah,
mentioning there, to still have 84% accuracy goes to show that he's finding his target more often than he's not.
yeah, yeah. No, he's really a sight to behold at his height as well. Like
Mm.
how well he's able to perform. He's got like a team there in Bournemouth that have the third least goals in the whole league this season, which is crazy. Really a testament to not only himself and Zabarni, but to the whole team. But what Areola has done in finding him with the scouting team and implementing him perfectly a few games into the season, a couple of months into the season, everything has just ramped up exactly the way they'd wanted to. And they've been very dominant defensively at times, which is something that I didn't expect. And he's somebody that just came out of absolutely nowhere for me. And
Yeah.
I think if Bournemouth are to make it into Europe this season, which they're very close to even that fifth position, which is going to be
Yeah.
probably Champions League for the Premier League. It'll be down to his performances, and I'd love to see him on a European stage with Bournemouth, and hopefully get another couple of seasons there under his belt before he moves on.
I think he'd be silly to move this coming summer. As much as I'd love to say, oh, go to Liverpool, like it makes no sense for him to go to Liverpool at 19 or 20. He should be with Bournemouth for another 2 or 3 years, so he's playing every minute of every game, kind of like almost by this time. Like there's no rush again. He won't be in his prime for another 5, 6 years, so he might as well stay with Bournemouth where he's guaranteed to play
Yeah,
35, 36, 38 game season every season and keep growing.
yeah, and try and bring the team
I,
up to a higher
yeah,
level.
exactly. Like I really think he should stay there. I think if Bournemouth get Europe, I'd love to see that whole team kind of stay together. Bar Kirkgate go to Liverpool because Liverpool need a left back, but I'd love to see the rest of that team just stay together. I think they've been a joy to watch all season.
Yeah, no, I agree. Their whole backline is just rock solid. And when I was looking
Mm,
at the interception stats, I was like blown away. I think I mentioned it before in that other episode, but just again, like what Tyler Adams is done when he's in there for
yeah,
them in terms of just output defensively and between himself and Cook in midfield, it's just been very, very impressive. But as a whole, the team has been quality. Three big games coming up for them. So Spurs away on Sunday, then Brentford at home the following week before City away in the cup after the international break. What do you think
isn't
their
that
chances are?
City at home? Is it not City at Dean's Court? I think it is it.
I don't know. I'll double check, but I have it away here for some reason. But
Um,
What do
Yeah,
you think
I'd
are their chances in that in the FA Cup?
I think if I think it's a big difference between if it's at home or away. I think it's at home, then they
Yeah, my
will.
bad. You're right. It
Yeah,
is at home.
I can see him winning that. To be honest, like I don't see him winning the FA Cup. I think I don't know. Like I think Aston Villa are going to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, you've
Personally,
been
but
saying that.
I'd love to see Bournemouth or Fulham win it. And I don't think either team has ever won a major trophy in their existence. And
Hmm.
I think if like with the way the FA Cup has opened up this year, with all the top teams, Bear City being knocked out,
It's
it's a
great.
really good chance for someone to kind of put their name in lights, a Fulham or a Villa or a Forest or two as well, like some of them. But I'd love to see
Get
Bournemouth do
Preston
it.
up there.
Yeah. Oh God,
Um,
yeah. I forgot about them. Yeah.
they're still knocking around, but
Yeah.
I think yeah the but I really hope City don't win it because I'd love to see basically any other team there win it.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about Villa. I think it's a natural next step for them to win a cup now,
Mm.
and they'll definitely put a lot into it. And obviously they're still in the Champions League, but this is a more realistic option with the field that's left. But yeah, a really good shout. I like talking about Huijsen. To be honest, is a nice bit of a different one. So
I think he's absolutely quality. I really, really do. I think himself, the partnership with Sabari and they didn't rush it out. Like he's only started 16 games, so they
yeah,
gave him a chance to bed in. They were playing Senesi, and then once Tyson got in, they're like, well, we can't take him out now. Look at what he's doing.
yeah, yeah.
And the two of them together, despite the fact they wear the short sleeves and the gloves, drives me bananas.
Carcas
Other
as
than
well.
that, I know the three of them, three clowns. But the three of them are they're three
The
quality
three
players,
clowns
so
there.
I probably need to let them away with us just this once.
Yeah, the short sleeves and the gloves is a bit mad, and I think Kluivert does it as well, and
Yeah,
Semenyo. So they've got about five boys there in the starting lineup doing it. Like it's
one needs to
absolute
sit down
madness.
with them, give them a good shake.
Another one is goalkeeper with short sleeves, like Ramsdale. Ah, that just drives me mad. I just think
Just
it's ridiculous looking. Like
I don't even trust a goalkeeper who wears short sleeves.
you
I've
can't trust a goalkeeper full stop. But to be honest,
no,
they're but mad in the head.
yeah.
Like
You can't trust a goalkeeper called Aaron Ramsdale anyway. You can't keep concentration for longer than 10 minutes, he said once.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That was an outrageous quote. As he said,
um,
like he loses concentration during the
yeah.
game. He has to keep himself. Yeah, great.
And then there was
Well, you won't.
a video of him looking at a pigeon, or
Yeah,
not a pigeon, yeah, looking at
like
him
a
looking
bird
at
or
a
something.
seagull on the pitch, yeah, and then a goal goes in. It's like, oh God, you're not
Yeah,
helping
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And well, sure. Look, you'll have plenty of concentration for the rest of the season with Southampton anyway.
Yeah,
But let's move on to Gan Seans now. Last week you laid your second duck egg of 3 weeks.
yeah,
Pretty bad,
incredible,
man.
incredible.
From the
Yeah,
highest of highs to the lowest of lows.
after going back to back of 3-0, I've then gone 0-1-0.
Yeah,
But hopefully get
but sure.
back on
Look,
track this week. I've
you still
changed
have a
up the
handsome
strategy
lead.
this week. Yeah, I've changed up the
Oh,
strategy this week.
let's get with you first. So let's hear it.
So as I said to you, the football is getting a bit difficult. So I've decided to go with two NBA games and one football game this week.
Yeah,
And
go
I
for
have
it, man.
unfortunately backed my Rockets to be beaten by the Pelicans.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
the Rockets are on a stinker of a run at the moment. They're just everything has gone wrong. To see the team they put out the other night, it was a team that wouldn't win a G League game and they're putting it out in an NBA game. And they lost again last night. I think they're on three losses in a row. The Pelicans are 17 and 45. The Rockets are 37 and 25. But I think the Pelicans are just going to pick them off, and I don't think it'll be difficult for them either.
Yeah,
I also have the Hawks, who are 28 and 34 to beat the Pacers. They are 35 and 25. I think they're a closer match than the wins column looks at the moment, and I think it could go either way, and I think the Hawks will pull it out. And I think United at 4-1 are going to beat Arsenal
Jesus.
at 8-11. I think it would be the most United thing of all time to lose the Fulham in the FA Cup, get knocked out. They went to the Etihad and beat City. They show up for these games. There's a big
True.
rivalry between the two of them. I think at 4-1, I think you're silly not to back United to beat Arsenal.
Yeah, 4-1 is a good price actually.
Mm.
And one I looked at myself, but I was just like, I can't trust him, especially after Arsenal smacking PSV last night.
Yeah, but
Um,
PSV did lose to go ahead Eagles at the weekend, as I
yeah,
was
it's true.
reliably informed by a friend of mine. So
Yeah, but like
it's not that
United can't
special.
beat anybody, so
Yeah, true.
it's regardless. Um, Yeah, that's a brave one going with United. So I overlap with you slightly. I've gone with the Hawks to beat the Pacers as well. I really like that one because the Hawks just randomly have a game where Trey just dishes out like 26 assists just out of nowhere, and they just absolutely go off. I think even without Jalen Johnson, they're at times they can be impressive. It's not consistent, but yeah, I think they could beat anybody on their night, and especially at home. So I've gone with them to beat the Pacers, just like yourself. I've also gone with the Clippers to beat the Knicks in LA on Friday night. Another
I
one
like
where,
it.
yeah, Clippers are up and down.
Yeah.
They've been a bit poor since Kawhi came back, but I think the Knicks can't really defend, as we mentioned recently.
Mm.
And if Norm Powell gets going on one, and you know the Knicks just can't stop him, and then the Clippers then have one of their lockdown defense nights, which they are going to have because there's times where they defend very very well. So that's just another one that I thought there's a chance there of that happening, especially being in LA. Both of them lost last night, both teams. So yeah, they're both on an up and down run, but. Clippers are 32 and 29, and the Knicks are 40 and 21, so an 8 win gap there. And then for the football, I've gone with Fulham to nick one away at Brighton. So Brighton are 10 to 11, and Fulham are 14 to 5. So Brighton are money on there. I think, yeah, Brighton had a good win against Newcastle. Again, both teams did play extra time, so it's not like there's more minutes in one team's legs than the other. But Fulham are just very up and down. You're not 100% sure what you're going to get with them, but I have been impressed with them a number of times this season, and their away form is something that's improved massively compared to where it was in previous seasons. So yeah, I just don't trust Brighton to be consistent.
Mm.
They're on a great run now, but I think it's going to stop at some stage. So let's go with Fulham to
I think
to
I
derail them.
saw a thing about Fulham as well is that they've won more away games against the teams ahead of them in the league than they have against the teams behind them in the league, and I'm
Smart.
pretty sure Brighton are ahead of them as well.
They are,
So
yeah.
I don't think it's a bad shout at all.
Nice one. Yeah, so that's my three. Let's see if I can gain some more ground on you this week because I'm still 9 points back. So you want to move on to NFL?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to this or scared of this, but we're after we had a go at the Giants last week to give you a bit of a counselling session. It's my go this week to talk about the Jets and get a bit of counselling in myself. Um, Honestly, even when I was trying to make the notes, they're just all over the place. I don't even know where to start. We picked number seven.
hmm
Like they've been trying to fix this O line now for my whole life, I'm pretty sure, and they just fail and fail and fail. If they could, I think they'll take Will Campbell at seven if he's still available. He's the offensive tackle out of LSU.
hmm
He's a really really good college season. He's the fastest offensive line prospect at the draft. He had a 4.98 40-yard
Was he the
dash,
guy that was
which
shouting while he was running?
no,
All right, okay. No, I saw
I don't
one.
think
I
so.
can't remember which guy it was. There was one old lineman, and he was literally like shouting at himself while he was
Roaring.
doing the sprint.
I don't think it
Yeah,
was him anyway. I didn't actually watch his 40-yard dash, to be perfectly honest with you. But outside of him, like there's just so much turmoil. They've obviously Devontae Adams was released there yesterday. Alan Lazard is
yeah,
going to go, so they need to fully rebuild the wide receiver core.
yeah,
I'm crying out for them to bring in a tight end that is can catch passes. Like you look at the difference the tight end makes for Kansas City, Joe, the Eagles with Dallas Goddard. He's a
mm.
reliable option. I couldn't tell you the last tight end the Jets had that there was a reliable catching option. Like every
What
tight
about
end we
Tyler
have seems to
Conklin
be a
then?
blocker.
Top quality.
He's Don't get me started. Oh, then we clearly need a quarterback. But it's a bit like we were saying with the Giants last week. Anyone you put in behind that O line is going to get crushed to smithereens. Like there's nothing to protect them. Like
Yeah,
it's just if where do you start? You start with the quarterback, you start with the O line, you start with the wide receivers, you start with the running backs. Like there's problems everywhere.
yeah,
Devontae Adams was it's one of the biggest bust signings in the history of the league, as far as I'm concerned. You gave away a third rounder for nothing. We got nothing
yeah.
out of him. We got no
Just so
output.
he could play with his buddy,
Yeah, and then the two of them just sail off into the sunset at the end of a
holding
couple of
hands like.
months. Just ridiculous. Like I just don't understand the thinking behind. Oh, we're going to bring in Rodgers now. Let's get Lazard. Let's get Cobb. Let's get Devontae Adams. He's not happy, and it just hasn't worked. Like
Yeah,
they have a good core there. Like so they have Sauce, obviously, he had a bad year last year, but he is clearly quality. Garrett
Yeah,
Wilson has the potential to be a really, really good wide receiver if he gets a good quarterback that trusts him. Brees
yeah.
Hall,
If he
obviously,
stops
another
being a
man.
diva as well.
Yeah, exactly. Brees Hall, another man who had a poor season last year, but we've seen like he's lightning, literally Bruce
Mm.
Lightning. Like he's, Joe, I don't know. And then you have the Quinnen and what's his brother? Quinnen Williams and
Quinton,
Quinton, sorry.
Quincy, yeah, Quincy. I think you're right. I don't know,
Yeah.
one or the
So
other.
kind of like if you can build around those and just get an O line and a quarterback that can run, then I don't know. Like we'll probably I'm not even going to mention Super Bowl because we're so far away from that. It's not even funny. But I don't know. I'll let you speak a bit because
Yeah,
I've just gone on and on there.
no, I wanted to let you get it all out before I jumped in, but I think the first note I had was that they're just as bad as the Giants, but they're just more dumb, and
Mm.
I don't know how that's possible. It's just down to the owner. Like Woody Johnson is an absolute simpleton, to be honest, in terms of running a football team. Like this, it comes out that the guy didn't trade for Jerry Judy because of his Madden rating. And like this thing, these things are comical. The way he runs this team, and it, just in general, allowing Rodgers to basically run the team, and anybody who says anything about that it wasn't Rodgers making the decisions last season is an absolute pile of crap. Like it's no wonder that Jermaine had a meeting there with Rodgers, and then the next day, all of a sudden, there was the firing of Salah, who I thought was a really good coach and very good defensively. He's the one who built that defensive side of the team, and then it went to complete smithereens last season when they got rid of him. Like so, I think that was a huge mistake. He wasn't the best head coach in the league, but he wasn't the issue there. And I think bringing in Rogers' buddy at offensive play caller, and then
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett, and then having like his best buddies on the team as well, like you mentioned in Lazard and Adams. It's just a joke. Like Rogers has set this franchise back multiple years by what they're after doing there,
Mm.
because now there's massive holes all over the roster. He could still play this season if things had worked out properly and the Jets had handled him properly. And then you would still have Devontae Adams if you played things a little bit more, coolly and didn't, just blow everything up by bringing in all of Rogers' guys. Just take it slow. Take the guy you really want, which would be a Devontae Adams. It just didn't work, and they're not great in terms of the cap space situation as well. And the only saving grace I think is that they have Aaron Glenn, and I
Yeah.
really did like that appointment, especially as a Jets legend. And I think it's worth taking a punt on your new offensive play caller, Tanner Engstrand. I think he was the passing game coordinator for the Lions. So he's worked very closely with Ben Johnson. I think it's worth taking a punt on a young guy like that, especially when he's worked with Glenn. And so I think that's the only that's the only thing for me. I know you mentioned you'd like to take that O lineman in the
Will
draft
Campbell.
if it came around to you. But say if things went another way and you traded up and went for like a Cam Ward, how would you feel?
Well, then I think that would go to show that they are kind of prioritizing the offense more than the defense. And as I said at the start, like they've been trying to fix that O-line since I was born. So maybe a
Yeah,
change of strategy where they do kind of trade up and get the next best quarterback coming out of the draft and kind of work from there. Like look at the difference that Jim Daniel has made to
yeah,
Washington this year. Like you never know if you do get in a good quarterback who can run, who can pass, who can do everything, it might make all the difference instead of trying to fix an O line that probably one rookie's not going to fix the O line anyway, but one
yeah.
rookie can fix the offense.
That's
So
true.
it like if they do trade up and take Cam Ward, I'd have absolutely no issues with it. I think another thing as well on Aaron Glenn, like they brought in another man who was the defensive coordinator,
Mm,
like what Salah was. So I think it kind of shows that they're going back to they're like, oh, we had it with Salah and we made a mess of it.
yeah,
Like they're going back to the same kind of profile as Salah, only hopefully a
kind
bit
of a leader of
better.
men as well,
Yeah,
kind of guy.
yeah. So like I think the Aaron Glenn appointment is a really, really good one as well. And I'm hopeful in one sense, but there's just, as you said, Aaron Rodgers has set us back so many years.
Hmm.
Like it's going to be another couple of years of
Yeah.
turmoil before we get anywhere, I think.
And I saw some like last season there was some hilarious like Super Bowl shouts going around for Jets.
Hmm.
And I said to you like that season when Rodgers got injured, I was like when he comes back, he's not going to get you more than 7 wins because the team is such a farce in the background that somebody like him is not going to be a good thing. And it's not got to do with his ability. It's just the actual situation he's in. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting one to see what happens with the likes of Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner or these kind of guys, how Glenn deals with them and if he kind of gets a bit of a rein on them a bit. I think I'm a bit more positive for you than I was the last couple of seasons, but I think it is a long road ahead as well. So yeah, strap in. Same thing as the
Yeah.
Giants. Let's see
Like,
what happens.
I think the good thing is like so Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson have both kind of come out on Twitter in the last couple of weeks and saying that they want to be at the Jets.
Yeah,
So I think like that is a good start. Obviously,
maybe Glenn got to them already, and
yeah, 100%. And kind of he could tell them his kind of plan for them and how he sees their development going, and it might have,
hopefully,
yeah. So,
because
but
those
as
are
you
two
said,
stars. Like,
strap in. Oh, 100%. They're like they're the two lads who could either of them could be the face of the franchise if they kind
mm,
of just bucked up a bit and stop giving out all the time and showing hands.
yeah.
Like they'll be absolutely fine.
Just
But
got a
it is going to
notification
be,
there. Breaking news live on the pod that DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seahawks. So
yeah.
that's one to
I
watch.
have. I actually had the three of them written down himself, DK Metcalf, the other fella as well, the Tyler Lockett
Yeah,
have both. I think one of them's been released and one has requested a trade.
Jesus man.
So, like, could the Jets look at one of them? Could they look at Chris Godwin? Are they realistic targets? Do they have the cap space? Do they kind of
Yeah,
should they?
Metcalf maybe not, but Lockett could be a good.
Yeah, a kind of
Yeah,
a good wide receiver too to complement Garrett Wilson, who we've just been
yeah,
talking up.
kind
Like,
of lead him
but
on as well.
yeah, but then like if they bring him in, then I doubt they'll have the picks to trade up to get Cam Ward. So there is kind of there's I'd say there's a lot of thinking going on in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah, a lot of things to be thinking about. I think there was that note like of kind of I just wanted to see what you think about moving up for Cam Ward because there's huge rumors now that the Giants are really solid contenders to move up now to first pick. Coming out with a combine, Jordan Rannon, who reports on the Giants, I think for ESPN, has said that there's a lot of solid talk that might happen. So, look, let's see, a lot to
Who
watch
would
and a
the
lot to
Giants be moving up for? Would they moving
to,
up to take
to move up
Hunter?
for Cam. No,
Oh,
Cam
to
Ward.
move up for Cam Ward. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
apparently so. So let's see what happens. Lots to keep an eye on. So for the second topic, I went with a little bit of something different for this week. So I went for both of us pick our best player in the whole NFL. Who do we think is the best player? And given our reasons basically for that. So I'll let you take it away. Neither of us know who the other person has gone for. So you go ahead.
I, as I said to you off just before we started this, I really struggled to pick one best player in the NFL. I thought there was so many I went through my head on, but I landed on Patrick Mahomes. I think what he has done, he has three Super Bowls wins in 7 years as a starter, two more finals appearances. So that's five Super Bowls in 7 years since he started. Over 30,000 total yards in the regular season, 245 regular season passing touchdowns. I think what he has done with that Chiefs team has just been phenomenal since he was drafted into the league. And I know he had a really bad Super Bowl this year, but the fact that he got that team to a Super Bowl in the first place, it was incredible because that team wasn't good. The amount of one score games they won, and then they put on their best performance of the season against the Bills in a game they probably should have lost.
Yeah.
And I just think what Mahomes does at the football, some of his passing are just leaves you just literally speechless. I think he's the best player in the league.
Okay, cool. So that's your pick. I was hoping that you would give someone different than me, and you have. So
Oh,
I've also gone for a quarterback. Do you want to guess?
Josh Allen.
No, one more. You'll get it.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, there you go, man. I've gone with Lamar Jackson. For me, he just has the most impact in his position. Like you mentioned, what Mahomes has done, and in terms of actually winning. and leading teams to victory, he has had the biggest impact, of course, in recent years. But in terms of talent, the reason I've gone with Jackson is just because of everything that I think he can do, and he's only getting better. Like looking at last season, over 4,000 passing yards, over 900 rushing yards. Like that was his best season passing, and that was the thing that people dinged him on all the time to say he wasn't a good passer. And now he's taken a couple of years back from the running a little bit less the last couple of seasons before this one, and improving on his passing. And now this year he's ramped back up with the running again. Along with having Derrick Henry there,
Yeah,
he's been able to run like for nearly 1,000 yards himself, and his passing is ramping up. So both of them are on the way up. Like next year, we could see this fella have close to 5,000 passing yards and over 1,000 rushing yards, which would be unprecedented as for a quarterback to do that. Two-time MVP, should be three-time in my opinion. I haven't seen a regular season like his last year. I've never seen a quarterback do what he did last year. And Allen won it because of voter fatigue. I love Josh Allen, but people just get tired of voting for the same person. And the fact that Lamar Jackson was first team All Pro quarterback,
yeah, and
then
didn't win
that
and didn't win
that
MVP.
people literally just split the votes because it's the same people voting for both. So they just
Made
went,
no
I'll give one to
sense.
Allen and one to Jackson. Not to like to say that there's anything wrong with Jackson or that he's not good or Allen
Alan,
to say
yeah,
that he's not good enough to win it, but like I think Jackson deserved it last year, and I think his passing game was the last box he needed to tick to be elite in another skill, and he has that now. There's always that playoff question with him, but he is the ultimate quarterback in my opinion, and he has every possible skill in his locker, and we saw that in that game against the Bengals. Like snap goes behind him, drops it, picks it up, dodges three or four players, and throws an absolute rocket to Isaiah Likely after running around for maybe 20 yards himself. Like these kind of things, they're not normal. And he's led this offense to only 6 games without scoring 30 points this last season. So,
I
in
didn't
the
actually realize
regular
it was.
season,
I didn't realize it was that much. That's actually madness.
yeah, he's just, in my opinion, he's the best overall in terms of talent. But yeah, that's my opinion. What do you think?
I think the main one that stands out for me there from what you were listening, because obviously because I didn't know you were picking him, I didn't do a deep dive into him.
Yeah.
But the fact he got 900 rushing yards with Derrick Henry as the main rusher,
Hmm.
and Derrick Henry loved running over people. Like the fact he got 900 yards rushing on top of Derrick Henry's rushing yards, I
Yeah.
think that is special. I do agree with you. I think he should have been MVP this year. Like even just off the eye test without doing a stats test, like what he did over the course of the year was incredible. Some of his passing was unreal. His Thanksgiving game, he was
Hmm.
absolutely superb. Like I think he had an absolutely incredible season, and I can see like he was on the list of of close calls for me. I had himself, I had Chase Burrow, Allen, and I gave Mark Barkley a mention as well because of the season he
Mm.
had. But I do think Jackson and Mahomes, I do think we picked the top two players in the league there.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think in terms of one guy who's the ultimate winner and the ultimate leader, and another guy who just has all the skills in the book. I think we've covered bases there. But it's interesting your short list and all the guys we mentioned don't aren't all, are all offensive guys. It's just like
Yeah,
yes, we love to see good defenses too, but offenses are what ticks, and these are the money makers. I think the main guys we'd look at probably on defense are going to be like an edge rusher, someone like a Miles Garrett
Miles
or a
Garrett is the
TJ
one
Watt.
that you would
But
mention. Yeah,
yeah, but like we're looking at these guys unfortunately are playing on the top defensive guys are playing on kind of teams that aren't as good. I think at the moment, for me, some of the best defenders are like Dexter Lawrence is playing on the Giants. We've got Guard was on the Browns, and Watt was with the Steelers, who were kind of middling teams. So, yeah, I think to be the best in the league, you've got to play on a top team, and we've picked guys on top teams.
yeah,
So, yeah, I like both of our picks there. I'll let you go ahead if you want to give us a go of your power rankings first. Maybe recap on what you've had last week,
yeah.
and then fire away.
Perfect. So last week I had Liverpool top, the Cavs second, Thunder at three, Pistons four, the Celtics five, and Arsenal at six. So I had a four NBA, two Premier League split. This week I've gone back to a 3-3. So, but my top three remain the same. So I still have Liverpool top. I've just no reason to change them. The Cavs are second. They're now on an 11-game winning run. Just like they're not going to fall anywhere soon. And the
Yeah.
Thunder are still in three for me. They're clearly the second best team in the NBA.
Mhm.
But from there on, I've changed it. So Arsenal have moved up from 6 to 4 for me. They won 7-1 last night. They couldn't be kind of teetering on the edge of dropping out. They are clearly the second best team in England at the moment, and they deserve to be higher. I brought the Lakers in after doing a bit of a deep dive on them. 7 wins in a row. Luka and Bronny are now not Bronny. Luka and LeBron are now clicking. Bronny is never going to click. Forget about him. Luka and LeBron are clicking, so they're up to five. And I brought in Everton. I
Oh,
Yeah, so they're
following my
unbeaten in their
suit.
last five. There's no team in the Premier League that really kind of jumps out and is making a real claim for me outside of the top two. Everton are the team who are on the best run of form outside of those top two, really. I think they might even be in better form than Arsenal at the moment, and they're quite
Yeah.
clearly not going down anymore, so might as well give them a bit of props there as well.
Yeah, I think I like the list. Very similar to mine. So last week I had Liverpool, Celtics, Thunder, Cavs, Newcastle, and Everton. I've gone and taken a leaf out of your book and gone for NBA this week, because there wasn't too many Premier League teams that stood out to me to put in a third. But I still got Liverpool first, like you mentioned. No reason to drop them, unless PSG smack them around tonight. Let's see
Not
what happens.
happening.
Then second, I've got the Cavs, same as you. I think best team in the NBA currently, and last week they were just unbelievable. So moved them up from fourth to second. The Thunder are third for me. So our top three are actually the exact same.
Yeah,
Then I've added the Pistons in, just as you've dropped them out. I've
yeah,
moved them in at four because I think they have been very good. They only lost to the Nuggets. Of course, that was the one game that we picked both for our Gan Seans, and that was the one game they've lost recently.
yeah. I
But
know.
they did beat the Celtics recently, and they're on a very good run in general. So I thought give them some props there. The Celtics have moved down. I didn't think they were warranting to be completely dropped from the list. I think the Lakers would be an interesting choice too, but I didn't think they should be completely dropped when I had them in second. So they've moved down to fifth. And then Everton remain my sixth as well from last week. And so that's our two power ranking lists. A bit of changes, but some stability as the season rolls on at the minute. I've got one last little bit of business. I'm conscious of time. I don't want to spend too long on this, but I did want to give you this one. This is a bit of an interesting one. So I want you to give me your perfect Irish starting 11 right now. Just think if everybody was fit, there's no injuries, and let's just go with what the formation is probably going to be with the five at the back and go from there with your whatever you want to do for the rest. We'll just do three centre backs, two wing backs, and then make up your midfield and attack as you want.
Okay. Kelleher in goals.
Yeah.
If we're going three at the back, I'm going to have Jake O'Brien as the right centre back.
Mm-hmm.
Darrow O'Shea.
Yeah.
And if there's no injuries, then I would put in and do Bamadelli just because I enjoy saying his name. I think it's a solid back three. I think Darragh O'Shea and Andrew or Jacob Ryan can both do a good bit of running, so
Mm-hmm.
they could support a lot in the midfield. Um, Four across, so I'd have Festi at right back. I just think he's rapid, he's
Yeah.
so fast, he's so good. I'd have Malumbi and Josh Cullen as the two kind of sitting in between the other fullbacks. And at
Mm-hmm.
left back, Jesus, I can't think of who is our current.
Well, it could go. We could go Og Bennett there if you're
Okay,
going
yeah,
wing back wise.
yeah. I actually also forgot Nathan Collins. He's captain, so put
Yeah,
him in
that's
there instead
yeah,
of Andrew
that's
Bamadelli.
yeah.
Gee, like, he completely slipped my
I was
mind.
gonna wait
Yeah,
till you were done then.
yeah. So Jacob Ryan, Darragh Shea, Nathan Collins. Put Shizozi on the left, Festi on the right, Cullen and Malumbi in the
Yeah.
two centre. I would go with two strikers and one in behind them. So the two
Mm.
strikers, I play Adamida and Troy Parrott.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Parrott is absolutely flying at the moment. Ida, when he's starting for Celtic, is getting a good few goals as well. And in
Mm-hmm.
the hole behind him,
Stim.
Jason Knight, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, I love no, I like Knight. I think that's a good
Yeah,
show because he helps defensively too.
yeah. So it's more kind of a five and he'll break forward when needed. But
Yeah.
I,
Do you want to
I
hear mine?
can't. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I just listed mine out to see if how similar we'd be. So I'd also have got Kelleher in goal. I've also got Collins and O'Shea in my back three, but I've gone slightly different. I've gone with Abanqua as the third centre back. He's been very impressive at Watford, and I think that physical presence is something that we need back there, and he's good on the ball. So those three as my three centre backs. Festi, right wing back, Albene, left wing back. Then the two deeper midfielders, I've gone with something a bit mad. So I've put Jake O'Brien in there because I think the man can play right back. So why can't we just throw him in CDM? Let's get a
Yeah,
bit of physicality into this team because the only other option for me is Malumbi. And like how much I love Malumbi and how much he cares and how much effort he puts in and how much he loves breaking lads up, he's just not going to cut it
he's
in the
quite
long
limited.
term.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
quite limited.
So let's move O'Brien in there for the international team next to Azaz because I love Azaz and I think he's
Mm.
a quality player. I think he'd be good deep as well. Just getting on the ball, and when you basically have four centre backs playing around him there, I think he has that bit of freedom. And then just ahead, I've got Sammy Smodics in the 10, because I think he's probably our best option in terms of creation. And then up top, I've gone the same as you with Troy Parrott and Adam Ida.
Yeah, so like it's I forgot about Finnegan and Sammy Smollett. It's so much harder when you're kind of on the spot trying to think of
Yeah,
names, and that's why I put Jason Knight in there. But I would have either Finnezaz or Sammy Smollett in the
yeah,
hole behind the two strikers, especially if we are going with your four centre backs. Then I don't see why you shouldn't be going kind of a 4-1-4 or a 4-2-4 almost with the four centre backs.
yeah, because I've got
Two
like
kind of
O'Brien there playing
yeah,
CDM, so that's another one to add to Banco Collins and O'Shea for me. Like, but
yeah. I think yeah, I like her as well. I think. I'm not a massive fan of the 3-4-3 in general. I'd rather go back to a
no,
4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. But
yeah,
if it's the one he's going to go with, then we kind of just have to work with it and deal with it.
yeah. I think if we did play four at the back, it would probably be Collins and O'Shea in the centre, O'Brien right back, and then Festi could probably switch over to
Yeah,
the left.
I think so too. Yeah,
Um,
but he's not going to change the way he does it anytime soon, anyway.
no, but yeah, I thought that would be an interesting one to wrap things up and see what you would come up with on the spot compared to what I had come up with last night when I had a few minutes to think about it.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, nice one. And so that's pretty much it. So that's this week's episode wrapped up. Uh, Great episode again. Really enjoyed it. Covered a lot of topics there. There's more and more NBA breaking news. I see Max Crosby just got a new contract. Just came in, highest paid player, something I don't know what highest paid player,
But
some sort of highest paid player. But I couldn't read the full thing. But I'm sure we'll get into that next week,
yeah,
about all these big stories that are breaking in the NFL. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from me. Really appreciate everybody who tuned in, and nice one, Shane. Really appreciated it. Really appreciated
yeah,
it. I'm just on a run of appreciating things
an
here. I really
appreciation.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. Joe, it is really, really good fun. And as long as the people are enjoying it as well, then there's no reason for us to stop doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's it, man. Would you like to wrap it up? I'll talk to you next week, lads.
Yeah, nice one. See you later, lads.